Welcome to the News 13 Coronavirus Virtual Town Hall. I'm George Roberts.
And I'm Marie Johns. Our topic today is about counties going into the yellow phase and what that means.
And specifically, we'll be looking at two counties in our area, Carbon and Wayne counties.
Joining us first on the program from the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Secretary Cindy Adams Dunn and Deputy Secretary of State Parks and Forests, John Norbeck. Welcome to both of you. Thank you for being here. Secretary, let's start with you. Our entire viewing area right now is in red. Come this Friday, we have Carbon and Wayne counties moving into the yellow. I know a lot of work has been done to try to reopen our state parks and lands, and people need to know what to expect. What is going on in your office right now regarding all of this?
First of all, I'd like to say that even from the very beginning, we saw people using public lands, whether they were state parks, state forests, local trails, local parks. People are spending a lot of time outdoors. I think they understand the value to mental health and physical health. We have kept the public lands open throughout the pandemic, but a number of things have changed. Recently, we have opened bathrooms so that in state parks, there will be one bathroom open in everyday use area, and that's in red and yellow. In yellow counties, we're moving to open campgrounds. You'll find a lot more facilities open. You can, our office staff will be there. A person can go in to reserve their campsite, can go in to ask a question. But again, just like with everything, whether you're in a yellow county or a red county, observing social distance, the hand washing, that wearing the mask or having the mask, depending on how close you are to people, is still very important. People need the outdoors, enjoy the outdoors. There's a sense of people wanting to be freer, but it's important to maintain the practices that we've all learned so well.
Secretary, as far as challenges in devising a reopening plan for the state parks, has your organization faced any major challenges that you had to overcome?
Yeah, absolutely. So we think about things like what people touch. So surfaces people touch, that's always a place where potential contamination can occur. We've been bringing back our staff, and they're cleaning and preparing facilities as much as they can, but all you need is one person ahead of you to potentially contaminate a site. So people still have to be very conscious of that. Social distancing is a big issue. A lot of our parks are very popular. And I'm sure John can go into some details of specifics on how we're trying to manage that. But again, we're trying to set up things to really cause people to observe that social distance. Think about only being close to the people you live under a roof with. So if you get in a boat together, only be in a boat with the people you live under a roof with, the people you have dinner with, and don't expand your contacts. And again, whether you're going out for a picnic, think about staying with the folks that you already are under a roof with. So social distancing, touching surfaces, and then activities that could potentially spread coronavirus.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. I think people's sanity kind of depended on staying outside through all of this. It's the one thing that kept people going and found hope in the future and what it's going to be. With things turning to yellow, Deputy Secretary, I know you know the parks in our area particularly. And in our area, we have several state parks, but Beltsville State Park being one of them. It's not going to be normal. We know that parts of it are closed, and we have to be really careful who we welcome, how we welcome people back. Tell us what's going on at Beltsville in particular.
Sure. So right now, Beltsville, as the Secretary said, all of our trails and state parks and state forests have been open during the entire pandemic. Again, we're asking folks to social distance there, and where they can't is to wear a mask. But moving forward, when you think about Beltsville, we have a very large beach there. We have a large number of folks that tend to come there every summer and picnic and have family outings. We're working with the Department of Health right now and the governor's office and trying to figure out what the protocols may be if we were to open our swimming facilities. And this is statewide, not just at Beltsville, but how we can potentially open our swimming facilities that will provide for the safety of our public, but also provide for the safety of our staff. And right now we have signs working with the Turnpike Commission. They have 4 variable message signs along the turnpike, and they're letting motorists know that the beach at Beltsville is closed until at least June 5th. And that's kind of where we are on that part of the operations there.
Do you think that when you talk about the reopening, does that go with the colors, or is that something you're looking at for green, or is there a possibility that that might open in yellow further on?
That's a great excuse me. That's a great question, and that's one that we're kind of working around now. Can we open? We're following CDC guidelines, and can we open some of our swimming facilities where there's a beach or a pool with some state parks? Can we do that in a safe manner that's in accordance with CDC guidelines and also in accordance with further detailed information that we're working with the Department of Health on?
When we talk about the beaches, for example, being closed, the reason here is because obviously they get pretty crowded, but also too many people, will be in a close proximity to each other. Is that really the reasoning here for the beaches and the swimming areas to be closed?
Yes. When you think about it, the COVID virus is not transmitted, at least as far as we know, is not transmitted through water or contact with water, so it doesn't survive very long in water. So actually being in the water is not a bad thing. The issue is spreading the disease through close personal contact. And you think about some of the beach scenes that you've seen on the news around the nation, where folks are pretty darn close to each other and they're not having that social distancing. As the secretary said, talking about being able to boat and hike and recreate with folks that live under the same roof. And the beach will be the same way if we end up opening those beaches, is that family units can stay close together because they're traveling together. But we'd like folks that aren't under the same roof to distance themselves.
We've covered Memorial Day weekend pretty much on the news for the 30 years that George and I have been here. And Beltsville always seems to make the news for some reason or other because it's so popular. So many people come here. So many people want to spend their time here. Is there any concern for either of you, being that we're moving into the yellow, we're surrounded by the red? Are you think we're going to see an abnormal amount of people here? Are they going to try to go swimming and ignore the rules?
That is a concern. I'll let John answer the question about the rules and stuff. One thing we're encouraging everybody, red county, yellow county, have a plan on your recreational pursuit and have a few options lined up. Do your research online, get your maps, have a plan. If the first place you go to is crowded, go to the second place. And what we're finding, we're hearing some positive feedback on this. People have forced themselves to find new places for a hike or new places for a picnic. And again, we have campgrounds, in different counties, and we're opening campgrounds in the yellow. So maybe people could try something a little different than they usually have. And we're getting good results from that. I think we all tend to just grab our picnic or want to go on a walk to the place where we always go. And unfortunately, many of them are very crowded. So it behooves all of us to think about some new opportunities. I know myself here in Cumberland County, where I live, I've actually explored some really neat local parks that I haven't been to for a long time or have never been to.
Yeah, it is very interesting. It's breaking our routines for sure. Deputy Secretary, do you have anything to add to that?
Sure. So we, in March and April, we keep attendance records in all of our state parks, and we've seen a dramatic increase in our visitation. Folks that traditionally went to state parks and state forests in the past that might have stopped going are returning, and we're getting a lot of new folks coming to state parks and state forests. So we do think that our visitation this summer is probably going to be a record visitation. We saw it during the Great Recession, where state parks visitation before that was in between 30 and 35 million visits a year, which is pretty high. It jumped up to 40 million visitors, and it stayed pretty much around 40 million. So the number of folks that were reintroduced to their public lands during the Great Recession are staying and coming to state parks, and we expect to see the same type of bump here, where folks are reacquainting themselves with their public lands and coming out and enjoying themselves.
It's impressive. Let's talk a little bit about the state parks in Wayne County. We have Goldsboro State Park, which has always been a popular area, and the Prompton State Park. Deputy Secretary, what can you tell us about those two parks and what's going on there, what's available to people there, and how much will be open?
Sure. So, as I said earlier, all of our trails and all of our state parks and state forests have been open during the pandemic. We've had great visitation at both of those parks, like all of our other 121 state parks in the system. We expect to see those numbers continue to grow over the next several months as the weather gets better.
We also have in our area, just to cover them all, Hickory Run, Lehigh Gorge. Lehigh Gorge is one where that one makes the news a lot too, because for some reason the people without the proper footwear find their way there, and we cover it far too often. Completely different situation here, but talking about people finding a new place and going out, there is safety that has to be. If these people have never hiked before, we need to teach them how to be outside. Is that part of what you're working on at the same time?
Yeah, that's a really good point you raise. And so because everyone's being a little more planful, it's good to get online. We have a lot of material on our webpage, including a great map, by the way, that shows what's open and what's not. It gives a yellow county, red county breakdown on what's open in the parks, but also the leave no trace philosophy in terms of carrying out the trash and carrying out and taking care of the public lands, and also how to be more prepared. We're encouraging people, like, now is not the time to take up rock climbing if that's not something you do. It's walking, biking, picnicking, things that are a little safer. You don't want to tie up emergency responders right now. They're way too busy. So you don't want to get hurt. You want to be careful. Take a little time to do a little research, have with you what you need. One good thing, we have a lot of public lands throughout Pennsylvania, and not only DCNR's managed lands, but the Fish and Boat Commission has a lot of lakes up in Wayne County. Pennsylvania Game Commission has a lot of public lands. Again, get on their web pages, understand what their criteria and rules are. We have a lot of trails. The Delaware Lehigh goes through the Lehigh Gorge. It's 165 miles of trail. It's not completed everywhere, but that's a lot of hiking and biking opportunity throughout this whole region. And then we have 6,000 local parks in Pennsylvania. And so there's a local park within probably 10, 15 minutes of many Pennsylvanians in your region. So there's opportunities to really spread out and have a great, memorable time outdoors. I mean, it's a wonderful time to be outdoors. Things are blooming, birds are migrating and singing, things are greening up. It's just great to be outdoors. But take a little more time on the planning end and be safe, and also practice the COVID safety that we've all learned so well.
Yeah, great resources, great advice. Deputy Secretary, going back to a little bit of what the Secretary said about, the parks and these people coming in and out, leave no trace. How has it been in our parks? Have you seen a difference? Have people been abiding by the rules? Is there trash left behind? What are you seeing?
Sure. So we have, like I said before, we've had a pretty large uptick in visitation. And as you get greater visitation, you do have more trash and things like that to deal with. However, we have been rather pleased with how the general public has been treating their public lands. Again, it's their public lands, and they've done a pretty darn good job of taking care of them. We would ask folks that, like the Secretary said, if you take in trash, bring it back out. If you find some trash on the trail, pick it up, take it back out, again, to keep their places clean. I will say that places like Hickory Run and Lehigh Gorge are both going yellow on Friday. Hickory Run is 16,000 acres of public lands, and there's plenty of trails there. Again, on DCNR's website, you can download our maps. And you can see where all the trail systems are. So if you go to a trailhead and it's looks pretty busy or full, again, go to another trail that you can get off those downloadable maps.
All right, very good. We want to thank our guests from DCNR, Secretary Cindy Adams Dunn, and Deputy Secretary of State Parks and Forests, John Norbeck, for being with us. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Now on the program, we're going to talk about tourism in both Wayne and Carbon counties, soon to be yellow.
Now joining us is Barb Green, President and CEO of Blue Mountain Resort, and Justin Genzlinger, the CEO of Settlers Hospitality Group. Thank you both for being with us today. Barb, we'll start with you. We're moving to yellow in Carbon County and also in Wayne County this weekend, starting on Friday. What does that mean to you and your organization?
Well, we are excited. We actually opened up camping. We started camping, so it was kind of a very nice soft opening for us to be able to try to get all the distancing rules and all the signage up that we needed, and it went really, really well last week. We've also been having our restaurant open for on the go, so we weren't completely shut down, but we need to get our people back to work. I'm really, really nervous if we don't do it soon that, we're not going to get the funds from the federal government to be able to continue under this PPP loan that we received.
Right.
We're looking forward to mountain biking opening this weekend.
Oh, that's good news. Good news. Justin, same question for you and your Settlers Hospitality Group, which has hotels, restaurants, and various other businesses. What does moving to yellow mean to your organization?
Well, first of all, we're moving to half yellow as we operate in Pike County as well. So it's a bit of an interesting thing for our staff and for our customers, 3 miles apart to be half yellow and half red. But we're doing a lot of the curbside and on Lake Wallenpaupack dockside dining and things like other restaurants are. But it's nice this weekend to welcome our hotel guests back to Ledges Hotel and Settlers Inn for leisure travel, and to open up some of our public amenities, in particular for recreation at our waterfalls and beach area, hiking trails and gardens. So we're basically trying to reimagine our amenity set. Settlers is known for fine dining and special occasion, and we've been building some glamping sites, which are pretty cool, and also some dining al fresco in the garden on a curbside basis, which we think a lot of these things will stay, even when we're in green and far beyond that. So we're trying to look at it as an opportunity and also realize that it is adapt or probably not survive in this type of a world. But, there's a lot of demand out there. So as soon as we can get our full staff to work, and I would just echo Barb's comments, she said it well.
So certainly a very interesting time to be in charge of business for sure. And Barb, coming back to you and Blue Mountain, we talked about the fact that everyone needs to feel comfortable. So I know this was a whole new thing that you had to tackle, not something we really ever thought about before. How did you start and what does it look like now?
I think one of the advantages that I think everybody in the Pocono 4-county regions has, pretty much is we have a lot of space. So we've tried to take a lot of the things that we were going to do indoors, sort of like Justin said, and put them outdoors. The virus is less likely to be passed outdoors, and we can, keep all these social distances. I think one of the most important things when everybody starts to go, come back to work is to really make sure your employees feel comfortable and are actually, obeying all those rules. If you're within 6 feet of somebody, you got to have a mask. So you better have your mask with you all the time. It's a whole new world from that aspect. But we are so adaptable. We just have to try some of these things because I truly think we can all be really, really safe if everybody just obeys the rules that's been put out by the CDC to try to slow the spread. 6 feet, wear masks. If you're having pre-existing conditions, stay home. I think we're all getting the basic gist of things, and I think it's time that we get back to work so that we don't harm any more of our businesses. Justin and I have, we were able to keep our restaurants open. There are so many small restaurants and retail shop owners that haven't been able to do that, we got to do it soon or we're going to have a real problem.
Right. Barb, you mentioned about the guests coming there and you have rules now. They have to follow CDC guidelines, et cetera. But Who's policing the guests at your place? What are you going to do to make sure they maintain the distance? They're wearing masks. Are you checking temperatures?
We aren't checking temperatures. I was really excited to see the Pocono Promise rules. We're actually, when somebody buys something, we're doing almost all of our buying of anything, even our to-go is on an app now. And then we're posting this, here's the Pocono Promise. You come to us, and here's what what you can expect from us. It's going to be clean. It's going to be sanitized. We're going to take all the precautions to make sure that our spaces are very, very safe for you. We want you to do the same. So I think that's going to help us all. I was really excited about that. We also are starting out with security. There are some people that just don't obey the rules. So you gotta, until we all get used to it, we're going to have some security there to make sure people are following those rules.
Mm-hmm. Justin, interesting for you, half red, half yellow. Do you have employees going back and forth and have to know both sets of rules, or how is that working for you? And what about enforcement up your way?
Sure. Many of the same things that Barb mentioned. And yes, we do have employees who co-locate in Wayne and Pike. And we also operate in Lackawanna and Northampton. So we're doing the best we can. And I think our team is doing a phenomenal job. We've learned a lot about each other in the last 2 months. And we have a lot of members with interesting hobbies that are doing things outside their normal skill sets. And a lot of that is oriented around alternating all of our work environments to be compliant, to be safe. And like Barb, we were signers of the Pocono Promise and have adopted it, as well as on a national basis, our Stay Safe, Stay Select with Select Registry for lodging. And I think it's demonstrating, not just posting, that we're doing all of the things that are best practices. And from that point, our staff is ready to go. They know that they're on the front lines and they're taking risk, and they would rather work than sit at home and not work because they know some of these programs are going to run out. And it's in our DNA to serve guests. So we're not combative about the guests from outside states and whatnot. And people can not follow the rules from no matter where they're from. And they can be great no matter where they're from. So we're just trying to start by leading by example with our staff. And we've had no problems with our guests. Now, we've tried not giving them a reason to give us a problem too. Like Barb said, security, temperatures. If you don't have a mask, we give them one. New cleaning procedures, new equipment, new technology. And I think if you're not doing those things, we're doing something wrong. And then what else are we doing to allow them to enjoy themselves at the same time that they have to follow these rules? And so we're trying to have fun too.
We talk about Pocono Promise. For those who don't know, that's from the Pocono Mountains Visitors Bureau, a set of rules that about, 150 plus businesses in the Poconos have signed on that they will adhere to. And then there's a placard or something that's put up in the resort there or the business to allow people to know that they're following the Pocono Promise guidelines. Justin, you mentioned hotels opening. What's different now with opening a hotel than before the coronavirus?
Sure. Well, we serve leisure guests, business travelers, long-term stays, and some have gone away completely, some are new. And I would say first that we went to almost nothing, and then to go from our shoulder season and cancel weddings. And normally we're at the height of our wedding season. Our restaurants are just getting packed, and we're getting ready for one of the busiest weekends of the year in food and beverage and leisure travel. And our hotels are normally sold out right now months and months in advance. And so we have plenty of rooms, and we're just filling in now the rooms. We're still not doing any events, which is a really big hit to our business. And our food and beverage is fairly limited to takeout, whether it be by lake, by car, or by in-guest on our grounds. And so there's a lot of differences right now. And quite honestly, yellow we're having some fun with it, and we're nice to opening, but yellow doesn't really do it for us. I mean, it's really a pathway to green. And so we're taking everything very seriously because we can't get to green without going through yellow. And so we're not going to jeopardize that, because operating in the yellow state is not going to be sustainable by any stretch. And so we're really just keeping our eyes on the prize, which is doing all the right things to get to green and operating a full service hospitality venue. Like, that's what we're good at.
Absolutely, that's the idea. And this time has been filled with a lot of ideas. And Barb, I know it kind of changes the direction your business is going, at least for a short time, but some of those things we talked about might stick around. What's new at Blue Mountain that's come up because of this, and how did those ideas come up?
So, I mean, I think we are definitely adopting a lot more technology. While in September and April, everybody was kind of home, we have a new food and beverage, ordering app on the phone, and looking to continue all those takeout ideas through our ski season. I just don't think the lodges are going to be, people are going to want to be packed. So we're looking forward to putting some really creative kind of stuff together for them to go ahead and take home or go eat out in their car and then get back on. Again, it's providing opportunities for people to be safe. And I think the way for us all to do it is a lot with technology. I mean, this is going to just speed us all up. Meetings like this, instead of coming into in Channel 13 or having you come out to us, it's amazing what the technology is doing for us today. And then I also think that, there's a sense of collaboration that I have never experienced in my whole business life, across industry, across organizations, that I just think is, I'm hoping we can all continue that. I also think that, look at the environment. I mean, there's a new way of working these days, and, the skies are bluer. There's more animals out. There's some good things that are going to come out of this. I know it. It's just getting us reprogrammed to take advantage of those things and do it safely.
You're right. Lots of new ideas and kind of forcing us to do it quickly. So thank you.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you, both of you, for being with us today on the coronavirus virtual town hall meeting.
We wish you a lot of luck.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. And good luck in the future. Hope things work out well for you. And don't forget, for all the latest coronavirus news, you can watch the Pocono Valley and Night Reports right here on BRC 13.